Sometimes the most chilling stories, they're not found in official reports. They're hidden in the little things left behind. And today, we're diving into one of those stories. It's pieced together from just one thing: the field notebook of a government surveyor who went out for a routine job and just disappeared.
Just let that sink in for a second. I think it has started with me. I forgot my mother's face today. That was the very last thing that a government survey officer named Raghav Kulkarni ever wrote down. It's a terrifying final thought to a story that started as just another day at the office, and well, it turned into something completely unexplainable.
For a long time, this notebook was just sitting in a cold case file, just another piece of evidence. But what's written inside? It tells a story that doesn't make any sense by our rules. A story about a place that seems to exist on the very edge of reality itself. So, let's do what the investigators couldn't. Let's go through his journal, day by day, and see what he saw.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. Who was this guy, Raghav Kulkarni? And what in the world was he doing out in a remote village called Karpati? Karpati. I mean, this place was basically off the grid. We're talking seriously remote. Tucked away in the hills, no signal, no police, no hospital. It was so isolated that the rest of the world pretty much had no idea it was even there. The kind of place where things, and maybe people, could just vanish. And let's be clear, Raghav wasn't some kind of action hero or explorer. He was just a kid, really. A junior officer, fresh out of training, on his very first real field assignment. His job? Super boring. He was supposed to map some small irrigation structures. He had his GPS, his camera, his notebook, all standard stuff for a surveyor. He was not equipped for what was coming. Nothing about this was supposed to be dangerous. Okay, so that's the official story, the paperwork. And this is where things take a sharp turn. Because as soon as he gets there, he starts writing in his notebook. And you can tell right away, he senses something is deeply, fundamentally wrong with this place.
It didn't take long. In fact, on his very first night there, while he's just getting settled, he notices something so strange, he can't possibly ignore it.
Think about any small town or village you know. You see kids, you see parents, and you see older folks, right? Grandparents, elders. It's just normal. Well, not in Karpati. Raghav looked around and realized there were no elderly people. None. The entire population was young or middle-aged. An entire generation just gone. It's more than just weird. He wrote that it felt completely unnatural.
So naturally, he asks someone. He asks a local villager named Soma, "Hey, where are all the old people?" And the answer he gets, it's just so cryptic. Soma just says, "They go to the hill." And that was it. No more details, just silence. That one phrase, "the hill," becomes the first thread he starts to pull. So the next day, Raghav decides to do some digging. He gets his hands on the official village ration register, the records of who lives there. And what he finds is downright chilling. People aren't listed as having passed away. Instead, when they hit about 50 years old, the records just stop, blank. It's like they were just erased from the books. So now everything is pointing to one place, right? The hill, the place Soma mentioned. And even though the villagers are telling him to stay away, Raghav knows he has to see it for himself. His host literally warns him against it, but at this point, it's more than just curiosity, right? It's becoming this weird sense of duty. He has to know. And what he finds up on that hill, well, it's stranger than he ever could have braced himself for. Okay, so he gets to the hill, and it is not a cemetery, not in any way we'd recognize. His notes describe hundreds of stones, all arranged in some kind of pattern. They're carved with weird symbols, circles, lines, figures, but no names, no dates. Some look incredibly old, weathered down, and others look like they were placed just yesterday. And here's the kicker, the part that's truly unsettling. There are no graves, no burial mounds, no bodies, just hundreds of these silent stones, like they're standing watch. So Raghav comes back down from that hill, completely shaken, holding this impossible new piece of the puzzle. He goes straight to his host, Soma, and basically says, "You have to tell me what is going on." And this time, Soma talks. What Soma describes is horrifying. He says the village has this condition, and it's not like Alzheimer's or dementia, not a slow fade. He describes it as a rapid, total wipe of a person's identity. Everything, your name, your family's faces, even how to eat, it's all gone.
and it happens in just a month or two. It just hollows you out.
And then Soma says something that Raghav underlines in his notebook, not once, not twice, but 3 times. He says, they say something calls them. And just like that, this whole mystery pivots. It's not just some weird, localized medical condition anymore. This is something else. So you'd think Raghav is finally getting some answers, right? But this is where the story gets even weirder. Because as he's trying to document all of this to get some hard evidence, the evidence itself starts to fall apart. Almost like it's being erased right in front of him. I mean, look at this. His 21st century tech just stops working, but in these impossible ways. He takes pictures of the stones, and later he just finds black, corrupted files. He records interviews, and big chunks of the audio are just gone. Total silence. He even tries to lock the GPS coordinates of the hill, and the location keeps shifting on his device. It's like the place itself, Karpati, was actively fighting back, erasing any proof it was ever there. And that brings us to the end, the climax of his entire notebook. On what would be his final night in Karpati, he actually witnesses it. He sees the whole terrifying process with his own eyes. He writes that he's hiding, watching in the moonlight as these figures just walk silently towards the hill. There's no ritual, no one is crying or fighting it. They just walk up, each one finds their own spot among the stones, they sit down, and then they just stop. They don't move again. They just sit there, like living statues waiting for the end. And that's when it all clicks for him, this final, horrible realization. The stones, they aren't graves. They're not for people who are dead. They're markers for people who are forgotten, people who are physically still sitting right there on that hill, but everything that made them is gone. As you can imagine, Raghav was terrified. He apparently fled the village right after that, submitted a partial, frantic report, and then vanished. He was never seen again. All that was left was his notebook. And for 5 whole years, that was the end of the story, until a private researcher got a hold of his notes and decided to see for themselves. And what did this researcher find when they got there? Absolutely nothing. The village of Karpati was gone. Not abandoned, not in ruins, just gone. The houses, the people, even the riverbed he mentioned was dry. The only thing left was the hill, and most of the stones were gone too. The erasure that Raghav wrote about was complete.
So we're left with this one final haunting question that his notebook raises. What happens to a place when it is completely and totally forgotten? Did Harpati just disappear because its own people forgot it into nothingness? It's a terrifying thought, right? This idea that memory and reality are somehow linked. It really makes you wonder what else in our world only exists because we remember it does.